got the main event of the evening, Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker. This one's going to be an absolute... I mean, we only got a taster of it in the first fight. You know, Israel Adesanya was just better. He cleaned his clock, and Robert Whittaker, he came in there a bit pent up. You could see he was kind of angry, and that's very unusual for Robert Whittaker. It was very uncharacteristic of Robert Whittaker, in all fairness, that performance in particular. Because outside of that, you look at Robert Whittaker did to Gastelum. You look at how he outclassed Cannonier. You look at how he outpointed Darren Till. You look, he's just become... He's gone back to his old self. You look at the fights against Yoel Romero, he was so on point. And a Robert Whittaker that is completely on point is a real problem for Israel Adesanya, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that Israel Adesanya isn't going to clean this guy's clock again. He might. Israel Adesanya really is that good. This is a real example of the best fighting the best, and you love to see it. You have to take these moments whilst you got them, guys, because these people will be retired before you know it. And these kind of fights are, you know, once in a lifetime fights. You've got the best in the division, Israel Adesanya, taking on the absolute best contender in Robert Whittaker, and it's going to be a terrific fight. No two fights are ever the same as well. Don't expect this one to end the same way as it did last time. Now, so far as picks goes, look, at the end of the day, I could break down their styles. You already know what their styles are. Look, Israel Adesanya, his kickboxing is out of this world. His footwork is fantastic. He can throw strikes from almost anywhere. He's just that good. But Robert Whittaker, he's just got such sound fundamentals, and it's those fundamentals that he uses to win fights. He will edge ahead of his opponents, and he can take them down. He can do pretty much anything. Robert Whittaker is a prime example of a mixed martial artist, whereas I think Israel Adesanya, with respect to him, is a kickboxer that has transitioned into mixed martial arts, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not saying that Israel Adesanya hasn't got takedown defense. He absolutely has. I'm not saying he doesn't have jiu-jitsu. He absolutely does. But I'm saying that, you know, Robert Whittaker came up as a, you know, he learning all facets of the game, and he has no glaring weaknesses. Whereas we saw with Jan Blachowicz, there is a weakness for Adesanya, and that is getting taken down. So, is that going to be a path to victory for Robert Whittaker? I don't know if he just... Thing is, Whittaker tried to force it in the first fight, and I think we see a much more patient version of Robert Whittaker tonight. And whether it works out for him or not is kind of secondary to the fact that this is going to be a very different fight. But I also want to do my betting the way my good old friend, mentor, JLP's son, and the P stands for icon, would bet on this. Now, he says that when two fighters rematch, the younger fighter wins only faster. But I think that's based on the younger fighter having won the first encounter. So you'd be thinking about Israel Adesanya. Unfortunately, Israel Adesanya is older than Robert Whittaker. So that throws all of that out the window. But I am still going to go with the younger fighter here, purely because the odds are absolutely tremendous. I think it's closer on paper than the bookies have it. I'm taking Robert Whittaker to win by knockout. I think that anybody can be caught, although it's very unlikely because Israel Adesanya is bloody elusive. I'm putting that down 6.50. That's 5.5 to 1. That is a terrible bet. And when you put all those together on one accumulator, it gets really tasty because you've got William Knight to get the knockout. Then you've got Blonde Brunson, to beat Cannonier by decision. You have got Tai Tuivasa versus Derek Lewis to go the distance. And then you have got Bobby Knuckles to get the knockout. That is 426.56 to 1. That is a terrible bet, and I absolutely love it. I am looking forward to these fights. It's going to be absolutely tremendous. Thank you for all your support. Just want to say, if you're watching this on the Patreon right now, thank you for subscribing to the Patreon. It absolutely means the world, and the fights are always early on the Patreon. So like, subscribe, share. It would really mean the world to me. Help me out a lot. And yeah, until Wednesday, when I recap these bets and see how terribly they went, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.